Stop it. Be famous for what you do on the field, not what you do on TikTok, not the highlights you make in freaking shorts and a t-shirt.
Does he need a backup quarterback? Do we need to trade for Nick Foles? Is he overrated? Did the ankle affect his shoulder with some weird head, shoulder, knees, and toes bullshit?
Welcome back, everyone, to the A.D.D show, where we're not always right, but we're never wrong. As always, I'm Mark.
And I'm Hans, and welcome back, everybody. I feel like it's been a while since we've, been here, but here we are. And I will say that this episode is very going to be special because we have more to talk about this week. Last week was fun. It was kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing. We only talked for about a half hour, right? But this week we are going to use the Facebook post Mark made asking people pretty much storylines, I think is what you would mention, right? Storylines of the season, things you're looking forward to. So we've decided to take those questions that we had answered on Facebook, but we just thought we'd go a little further into them. Take those questions. A couple of the fans I had written two. I think Mark even had one too. So we're going to go over those and just kind of tell people our expectations of what we think of those storylines. So what about you, Mark? How you doing, man?
I'm good. We got the NBA draft tonight.
I'm excited.
This is Thursday, so it's the NBA draft. It's top heavy, but this draft is very good as far as it's deep with quality players.
I think it's a very solid draft. I don't think it's the best I've ever seen, but I think the players are all around really all good, solid players.
Yes, and it's not really anything, excuse me, sorry. The number one thing is this kid coming out of Oklahoma State, I believe, is probably by far the best player in the draft.
Yeah.
But the big news is the Lakers are really close to trading their pick, Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for Russell Westbrook. I think it's a very good deal. I think Westbrook is one of those players that, surrounded by the right talent, could really take you to the next level. I just don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if his style of play will work with LeBron. But
LeBron
at the same
might
time,
have to stay as primary ball handler and use. I don't think it's going to work that way. Yeah,
Russ has to have the ball in his hands. The only way Russ works, the only way this trade works, is if you let. I'm going to steal what the Seahawks said last year. You got to let Russ cook.
Yeah,
you got to let him have the ball in his hands, pass the ball when he can. A.D. will eat with Russ in the lineup.
And then you have the smartest player in basketball in your small forward now.
But the only problem is now is you've just gotten rid of two out of your two shooters. You don't have any shooters. Now, Schroeder's on the trading block. They're trying to get rid of him. They're trying to get Buddy Hield out of Sacramento. They're trying to rebuild the roster, which the roster wasn't bad this last year. They just weren't healthy.
They're just going to bring in a couple of old veterans again to fill the bench roles, because they're going to be so stacked.
They need shooters.
Yeah.
They need shooters because you can't have a team like this without shooters.
I also don't hate the idea of, I know Beal wants to stay long term, but if Beal was to be open to trading, saying now that you got rid of Westbrook, I would like to be traded as well. And let's use an example of Golden State with 2 lottery picks this year. Yeah, that's a situation where if you're the Wizards...
does he fit in Golden State?
But they've wanted him. They've been saying it for...
I don't know. I don't understand why, when you already have 2 of the best guards in the game as we speak.
Yeah.
And, Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, why are you adding Beal?
Because they love playing small ball. I guess one of them will play small forward, and as fast and shooting as they are.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm sure Steve Kerr knows what he's doing.
The way Beal plays and Beal's mindset is Beal wants a team to himself. He doesn't want to share. Yeah. He wants to be the only name on the team, and that's why him and Wall didn't get along.
Yeah.
That's why they just got rid of Westbrook.
That's so hard to say, get rid of Westbrook.
Yeah.
It's a mouthful.
So it's because Beal just wants to be... Beal's a diva.
Yeah.
Beal just wants to be the only person. And getting those 3 players in that trade, plus the 22 overall pick, you really are surrounding him with good role players.
And I will say this, too. The reason why I think this is happening is because the Wizards have a new head coach now. And I think with Wes Unseld Jr., I think their goal is probably a little bit of a rebuild to do what he wants. And if he wants to start fresh, being a prodigy of the team with his dad, my guess would be that also shopping Beal if Golden State wants him and Golden State's willing to offer up their 2 picks or one of their 2 first-round picks, the Wizards could move into this draft with potentially 3 to 4 first-rounders this year. That's a hell of a start to a rebuild.
Yeah.
With the players the Lakers are giving you, I think Golden State wins with a great shooter. The Lakers are obviously winning the deal, but at the same time, the Wizards, usually when you get rid of a star player, that team loses. But I think everybody wins in this situation where the Wizards are going to get the picks to kind of start to rebuild because new coach, he might not want Beal. I know Wes Unseld loved John Wall.
Yeah.
But he wasn't happy with some of the decisions they made with Beal, even when he was he Denver's assistant coach, I think?
I'm not
is where
sure.
he's been the last few years. He's like decisions the Wizards have made have prevented me from wanting to come back there. It's like, so maybe this is what's going to spark him to refresh the roster, new coach. This is what he wants. I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. Also, before we do any more NBA, I want to say that I know we don't talk about baseball much, but the Yankees are finalizing a deal to acquire Anthony Rizzo.
Oh, okay.
So just a heads up on that.
They got Rizzo instead of Bryant.
Yep.
Because they were good. Because the Red Sox were hot on the heels for Rizzo.
Yep.
That I read today, and they were going to get Chris Bryant. The Yankees were going to go to get Chris Bryant. So that's interesting. I know Scherzer is getting traded to the Padres. Padres are loaded. And the sad thing is they're number 3 in their division, and they're the number 3rd team. They're 3rd in the National League.
Yeah.
It's, the Giants are out of nowhere just playing out of their minds and playing really well. Dodgers are in second best record, and the Padres are the third best record. And the thing is whoever finishes 2nd and 3rd in that division plays each other in the wild card.
I know.
Like, so now you're looking at it where you're going to have Clayton Kershaw or I can't remember who their second starter is pitching in a wild card game.
Yeah.
Or you're going to have again Scherzer, Snell, or Darvish. That is ridiculous right there. Like, San Diego is stacked right now, and their lineup is young and good, and I think San Diego is going to try to make that run to, but it's crazy right now. That National League West is absolutely crazy.
Yep.
And the trade deadline expires tomorrow.
Yes.
Is the trade deadline. So baseball is going to be hot and heavy. And as you hear this, tomorrow is actually tomorrow. We are doing this on Thursday, and tomorrow it's going to be uploaded at 8 a.m. So tomorrow is the trade deadline for baseball. So you are going to see some more deals happening tomorrow, probably late tonight.
Yep.
And the NBA draft will be done.
Starting right as we finish recording this.
Yep, it'll start. So it's going to be interesting. I like the trades that always happen in the NBA on draft day.
There's always good trades.
You'll always see somebody trade the rights of this person to this person.
And what's funny is the NBA does this, and the NFL never really has done a lot of player deals in round 1. Does that make sense? It's usually just swapping later round picks. The NBA always is sending a lot of players. Almost, I think like 3 years ago, I think I saw like 15 of the first round picks all were traded in the same day.
Yeah.
So teams
there's like 3 or 4 teams in in the league that don't have a pick in the draft at all.
They're going to want to get in.
So it's
and
if
the Wizards were able to acquire those extra 2 picks, that could be a chance to get a younger 1 or 2 year veteran that's not a rookie, and you could move. So like this is why I'm interested, because I don't always get interested in the NBA draft, but I always do when a player from my school's in there, which doesn't happen often. But I'm excited because I'm just kind of excited to see the Wizards kind of start fresh. I mean, me watching them, they've had Beal and Wall for so long, but like, they might not have either. Obviously, Wall's gone, and I'm kind of excited to see which they move into with the fact that Rui would be the best player on the team right now.
Yeah.
That's kind of, and he's still a good player, but that's mind-blowing to see a rebuild for a team that's never really ever been good.
So it's official. Aaron Rodgers has signed.
Yes.
He's back. He signed his deal. So the question I asked on Facebook, which I was just interested in because it was one of those days where I worked in the afternoon. So I was up in the morning and I was watching ESPN, and all they were talking about is Aaron Rodgers, this is how he feels, this is what, blah, blah, blah. And so I just simply asked, is there anything with training camps coming up, is there anything happening or that you're wondering about that you are interested in other than Aaron Rodgers? And we got some good feedback, which was fun to do because we answered the questions. I answered everybody's question, but I didn't do a deep dive into it because when you're leaving a comment, you don't want to leave a 20-paragraph comment.
Exactly. We have an hour to do that.
Right. So one of the guys, I don't know if he likes to be called Steve or Steven, so I'm going to say Steven Dittmer.
Yep.
He asked a very good question. He says, as a Steelers fan, I want Big Ben to have a great season, to shut all the analysts up about the fact that Big Ben is old and will be replaced mid-season. He also said, I want the Deshaun Watson saga to end, just trade Watson and begin screwing up another QB's career. And he's really excited to see what Stafford does with the Rams.
So which one of those three do you want to start with?
Big Ben.
Okay.
And I know he's not happy with my take on Big Ben. I honestly do not feel you have the wide receivers that are going to be suitable for Big Ben. They're deep threat wide receivers. They're, and they can't catch they're smaller, so they don't like going across the middle. They don't like, and that's why they have so many drops. Is because if you watch them and you watch a lot of Steelers, and I watch a lot of Steelers games because one, they're always on. Two, they play the Bengals twice, they play the Ravens twice, so you see them. I see them all the time. Their wide receivers' eyes aren't on the ball when they're running through the middle or they do a quick slant. And Ben's throwing them the ball and it's there, but they're scared of getting hit.
Yeah.
So they like to be free and run and everything like that. And Ben can't throw the ball deep. I'm sorry, he can't.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll have 2 or 3 games, 4 games maybe,
400 yards,
where he has 400 yards, 3-4 touchdowns. But his whole career, Big Ben has been an interception. He throws at least 1 interception or 1 bad pass a game. And I think that's only increased as he's gotten older, where it's 2 or 3 bad passes in a game. And he may not throw 2 or 3 interceptions, but you see that, and it should be an interception.
I've seen a lot of plays even last year when he was playing, and I know they said he was hurt, and I'll say that he was. A lot of plays where he threw the ball wide open tight end in front of him and hit the knees. Hit above the head where they had to jump. I look at small things like when you're running deep, do you have to jump? Is it right in the breadbasket, or do you have to reach down and crouch? And those kind of decisions for me make it go, so you can see the velocity's not there. The arc isn't there. And the other thing, too, is I like Big Ben. I think he has been a great quarterback for a long time. But here's the issue. The O-line is garbage.
Yes.
And in order to stay as a pocket passer, which we know he is, probably one of the biggest pocket passers right now in the league because he's not going to run the ball, he has to stay put. And if you can't protect him, he's going to get hit, especially with the defenses in that division.
And if you try to change the offense to the quick slant, quick hit offense, you're going to have the same problems you did at the end of last year where you're constantly dropping the ball and you're constantly getting hit.
The Bengals defense got faster. The Ravens defense is still great. The Browns defense is top 5. These are 3 defenses he's going to have to play 6 times next year.
But I will say the Steelers defense is very good.
I know, but that doesn't matter about Ben is what I'm saying.
No,
Their defense is good.
Yeah. So
probably one of the best in the league.
I just feel, and I said this about Rivers last year, noodle arm.
Yeah.
Can't throw the ball deep. Can't do it. And that's my stance on it. And you know what? If he proves me wrong, he proves me wrong.
Exactly.
But one thing I will say is this, is Big Ben's never been a fitness guy.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, I bet you he's in shape. But if you compare him to all the other quarterbacks, as Brady's gotten older, he's worked on his strength, his mechanics, everything. As Ben's gotten older, he's gotten bigger.
Yeah.
So he's less mobile.
Yeah.
Brady's not mobile, but Brady's mechanics are spot on.
If he wants to be mobile, he will be.
But I mean, he's slow as molasses.
Yeah.
But I mean, Ben is slow now too, and so in his prime, Ben could get out and run for 10 yards, 15 yards, and slide and get out. Now he can't.
Yeah.
And his fitness is a liability.
Yeah.
And I think that's also why I don't trust that another year older, he's going to turn the clock.
Yeah. I think with me, adding a running back behind a line that's bad, he declined last year. He had his off-season elbow surgery. Let's hope he does well. But I think for me, the problem, and I'm going to say I agree with Mark, is that, excuse me, we want him to do well, right? Well, I know he's a rival of yours, but would you be surprised if he surprised you, right? No.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if he threw, but I don't see a 4,000-yard season.
So what we're saying, for everybody who's listening, especially Steve, who I know Steve, we are sitting here saying that he wants to shut the analysts up, that he is still good. I'm saying that, I think Mark is too, that we're saying we think he's going to have another subpar season and we think he's got the noodle arm syndrome that Phillip Rivers had. Would we be surprised to see him do well? Absolutely not. He has that ability.
So let me ask you this. on a scale, okay, what would you say is more likely?
Yes.
Okay. 3,500 yards, 25 plus TDs, 10 plus interceptions.
Okay.
Or benched by the end of the year.
Bench by the end of the year.
So you say so that's the thing. So it would be more surprising for you if he has a good year.
Yeah.
So I mean that's where I'm at. I would say if they had a capable backup.
So I think the problem with me is I think he'll play all season, honestly, but I think you're going to see a lot more games where you go, is this the last game? Because they really don't have anybody behind him. I'm telling you, if they had like a Justin Fields, a Lance, or they made a trade for a Nick Foles, his timetable's short.
Yes.
If anybody even that can throw the ball a little bit better is there, and this is not a knock at his Super Bowl and his talents and his Hall of Fame potential. It's just father time catches up to anybody not named Tom Brady.
Yes.
And I think he's the next one to go. It's Phillip Rivers and Breeze.
Yep.
I think right now it's his turn. And
yes.
It was Eli Manning the year before.
Right. And I think that's what I think you're accurate there. Now, the Deshaun Watson thing, I don't like talking about him.
Yeah.
He's got way too much going on in the offseason. It's disgusting. If any of this is true, it's disgusting, and he should never play in the NFL again.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
I agree. The drama with it, the talk about it, get rid of it. You know, no TV station analysts or anything should ever talk about him until he's cleared, and then it's time to talk.
Yeah, they should let the justice system do their job.
Yes.
And when it's done, a team will trade for him, and we'll go from there.
And when he is traded for, he's a top 5 quarterback in the league, and he will make your team better.
Yeah.
But plain and simple. That's where I'll go with that. But Stafford, I think any football fan is really hoping he makes it to the playoffs and he makes a run.
Unless you're a Green Bay fan.
I bet you any real football fan, though,
honestly,
because if you pay attention to football, he's the guy that you always felt bad for or rooted for.
What would be his comparison in another sport? Someone who never really got it done, but has been like that underachiever. You just want to see it get done. Because I can think of it in like motorsports, that person. But like in let's say in hockey, or not really hockey, let's just say basketball. Who would be that person? Okay.
Hockey, my generation.
Yeah.
Ray Bork.
Okay.
Last season he played, he won the Stanley Cup for a team he didn't play for his whole career.
Yeah.
And he was close a couple times, never really made it to the Stanley Cup.
Every fan was so happy to see him
exactly.
get it done.
And you got chills when he raised the cup above his head. I'm trying to think if there's anybody like that in basketball, Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul Pierce had a great career. Never had anybody around him. And then he got some players around him, and he was able to raise the trophy.
Yeah.
That, even though it was against my Lakers, that was something as a basketball fan, because he was somebody that you rooted for and that you wished would do well.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, that's what I'm hoping for. I don't even care. Like, I want to see him just on the spotlight.
Yeah, I do too.
I want to see him throw
and
for 5,000 yards, 35 touchdowns.
And get in the playoffs.
And show what he can do, because on a bad team, I mean, what is it, 72 starts or something like that? Ridiculous. 35 of them are game-winning drives, or he has 72 wins and 36 of them are game-winning drives. Like, you can't wrap your head around that.
I think potentially, which we'll talk about it later with another question somebody had asked, was, I think it was Justin asked, but we'll get to that later, is I think honestly he's potentially on the best team in that division all around until they lost their running back. I think that's a big blow, even though we're not saying Cam Akers is a top stud, but it's still losing your top running back's tough. But this division is going to be nuts when we get to them later to talk about it. I'm very happy for Matthew Stafford. He's been one of those players for me that I've watched that's never been on my team, but I've always been happy for him, rooting for him from a distance. Even it's tough on Thanksgiving Day, but I love watching them because they came on right before my Cowboys. And they were the first team you watched. Matthew Stafford every year for Thanksgiving, and I hope he does well with Rams.
Yeah.
So.
I'm going to skip over yours.
Okay.
Because we talk about Dak and Burrow.
That's fine.
And DC all the time.
That's fine.
Even though I say we talk about DC all the time, I am going to bring up Freshy's question, Jay Freshy.
Yep.
He said, "Who will win the NFC East?" I think it's such a toss-up now with all of the QB questions surrounding 3 of the 4 teams. Will be interesting without a doubt. And that is interesting because the NFC East is one of those divisions where teams, for some reason, do not repeat as champions.
They haven't for a long time.
And there was so much Like there's, you have Saquon coming back, Galladay going to the Giants. You have another year with Judge as their coach, which they had promise last year. Yeah. The Giants we're talking about, if anybody was wondering. And you have promise with that O-line. The defense is very good.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you're tossing a coin on if Daniel Jones could take that next step. And I'm not saying the Josh Allen next step. I'm saying Josh Allen year 2 step.
Yeah.
Where your yards go up, your touchdowns go up, your interceptions come down, your fumbles come down.
I'll continue to say they got rid of Eli Manning for Eli Manning until I'm proved wrong.
Right.
And he's a big liability on that team because they have a great running back. They have great wide receivers. They have a really good defense. I'm just repeating what you said. But they have to make that next step because on paper, their team is better than Dallas. But the problem that I would say...
Well, I don't... See, here's the thing.
Offensively and defensively added together...
If you grouped the 3 top teams together, because we're not including the Eagles in this, because are we in agreement the Eagles are rebuilding?
Yeah, I'm going to say they're probably at the bottom.
Okay, so the Eagles are at the bottom, maybe close to the 3rd place. Yeah. Depending on what these 3 teams do.
They could pop off. They got a lot of good, decent talent in drafts.
Exactly. But I'm looking at these 3 teams as close to equal as you can get in all the divisions in football. Mm-hmm. Okay. Where you look at it, and by far Washington has the best defense.
By far.
Okay. Number 2, the Giants have the 2nd best defense. Mm-hmm. I'd probably say the Eagles are the 3rd best, or you never know what you're going to get out of Dallas.
We don't know. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Dallas is based off last year and going into this year. You're assuming Dallas will get better, but are they going to be better than any of those 3 defenses? That's the question.
Yep.
Okay.
That's fair.
Offensively. Washington's made some moves. They brought in a quarterback that can play.
Yep.
He's old, and you never know what you're going to... You've said it numerous times on the show and numerous times over and over again. When has Fitzpatrick ever finished a season as a starting quarterback? And can he finish 17 games in a season plus a playoff run?
That's...
but you have that offense where you have the talent is there.
Absolutely.
The offensive line is there. They have a great young running back, a great wide receiver, and a very good tight end. And you bring in Samuel, and you get a couple guys off injury that had... Mims had some good games last year. And then you have Dallas, who, if you look at it, offensive line isn't the best in the division. Skill positions, they are the best in the division.
Yeah.
I would probably give Zeke the upper hand over Gibson.
Yeah.
And you never know with Saquon. He's been hurt.
Don't,
you don't know.
Yeah.
If Saquon's 100% healthy, I feel he's the best running back in football. Not just in the division.
Wow.
Okay, so if he's healthy, if he can give you a full season, I think that's what he's going to prove. That's just me. But he's never given you that, so that's just me saying an opinion there. Wide receivers, they are better than every other team's wide receivers. 1 and 2 are probably better than... I mean, you got to probably say Cooper and McLaren, Scary Terry, are probably close to 1A, 1B maybe.
Yeah.
CD is better than any other wide receiver in there, and then you got to go, Kenny Galladay.
Better than Galladay?
Yeah,
I do too. After 1 year, just the potential.
Just the potential.
Yeah.
Yes. And. And then you're going Curtis Samuel, you're going, Gallup, you're going things like that. Tight end wise, I think that you're looking at the Washington football team having the better of all the tight ends.
Of course.
So you can pick and choose how you want to make this argument.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So
there's a lot of angles you can come from it. So with me, the way I come at this is I think from the top, like I commented, I think Washington is solely at the top right now. Based off the moves they made, I think they're the safest bet. I would put Dallas and Giants as the toss-up, but for this reason only. I feel like scheme-wise, something about the Giants wasn't there last year. They had more talent, in my opinion, on offense and defense than Dallas. I know Saquon was hurt, but I think they had really good players and potential. Yep. Something felt like they were one step off everything. Something felt broken. Does that make sense?
Okay. So keep going. I'm going to let you keep going. Remind me to say what I want to say to that.
Okay. So they felt like they were broken to me, like something was off, right? Whereas Dallas was also not just injured, and I'm not blaming it on injury, but they also had a terrible defense. To me, the difference of this division is 3 questions, and I will say it all the time. will Fitzpatrick play the full season? If so, that's an absolutely scary team. The second question, if Dallas's defense gets just 5 places better, 6 places better, that's a scary team because of the offense. And if the Giants figure it out, if Josh Allen figures it out, they're a scary team.
Yes.
That I think all 3 of these teams have the potential to be good, but all 3 teams have major question marks to fix. But the smallest question mark is Washington's quarterback. I think that they figured it out halfway. Like, does that make sense? I think the Giants are farther away. The Cowboys are farther away. DC's like, bye, but you hope that wagon wheel does not fall off.
So I put it as, so with what you said, there's something missing in New York.
Yes.
Okay, and this is what I wrote down. And it was interesting because I heard this on the NFL Network today, okay, because they went to Giants camp, and they said, oh, yeah, NFL Network's on Hulu.
Guys. We're not sponsored by Hulu, but that is the best gift we got this week.
And so, and I started thinking about it, and I was like, holy cow. Like, if that isn't the most accurate thing I have heard, and it's this.
Yeah.
Okay? It's Jason Garrett. He has the most mediocre offense in football.
I forgot that's their offensive coordinator.
Okay, and he doesn't use the talent that they have.
He didn't do it with us.
Exactly, to their potential. So, and I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm like, okay. And when you said there was something missing, all of a sudden I remembered what they said on NFL Network, and I'm like,
forgot he was
and
there.
Jason Garrett is the offensive coordinator
and play caller,
and he's not. He doesn't risk it.
He's very basic. He's a very generic coach.
And I feel that could be the downfall to the Giants.
That's why it was not there.
And I think whoever wins this division, I have Washington winning the division.
I do too as of right now.
By a
still.
game.
Yeah.
And I feel that, you're going to be looking at, and I don't know, 10, 11 games they'll win this year, 10, 11, 12 they could pull off. And I think second place is going to be 9 or 10.
So originally in my head, I had Washington winning the division at either 10-7 or 11-6 because there's 17 games now.
Yeah.
And I had Dallas 1 game behind, 9-8, 10-7, whatever it is. It's so weird to say that now that there's that extra game. And I had the Giants 1, maybe 2 games right behind. The Eagles a few back. But even though you're going to have a winner of this division, I don't think it's a clear winner. You're going to get one, but I think it's going to finish kind of how it finished last year. My question is, does Jones take the next step? Does Dallas defense get any better? I mean, just Hooker, a couple other players we've added now. If it gets a little bit better, it's a scary unit. You just have to stop the defense every now and again. Not every play. You don't have to be Steelers defense, just a little better. Just bend, don't break, because the offense will do its job.
Yeah.
Assuming we can get back to running Zeke again, because we won't have to throw like crazy. Dak should not be throwing over 300 yards a game, because when he does, he's a liability. And I've seen that last year. Run with Zeke. Do what Dak and Zeke did their freshman, their 2 first years. It worked. Yeah, and they won games. Run it through Zeke first.
I said that.
You always say it.
I said that many, many times last year. Run the ball through Zeke and you'll be successful. Here's the thing I saw from Zeke last year. He can't hold on to the ball.
Yeah, last year was bad.
And then you look it up, and he led the league in fumbles 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. He led the league, I think, last year in fumbles.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
I don't and preseason drives me nuts. My hot clock, if we have time for a hot clock, you guys got me going the other night on and I just was like, and I went off, and everybody always laughs at me in our group chat because they're like, oh, Jesus, we didn't mean to flip the switch, Mark. Calm down. I think you guys see me typing, and you see the little vein in my forehead just flaring when I'm typing. But
your hair starts growing when you get mad.
But I look at it. Jay asked another question. I don't know enough about it. So he asked about Jamin Davis. Is he hype or is he for real?
Is that the linebacker for DC?
That they drafted in the first round. I told him the talent in front of him
is there.
Should make it so he's a 100-tackle guy where he could fly around and just be a guy with, fire, running around with his head cut off.
He could also break an ankle.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell.
So I feel like it's a good pick. But
it's a solid piece. He's talented,
Yeah, but with the talent you have in front of him, you could lead the team in sacks and you could also lead the team in tackles because you have that defensive line is scary good. Scary good where you can't go to the next level ever against this because the Sweat and Young are so fast that you can't block and run.
Yep.
You have to hold your block, because if you block and run to go to the next level, your running back's getting tackled from behind, or your quarterback doesn't have any time to throw the ball.
Yep.
And that, to me, is such an advantage to a young linebacker.
It is.
And all he has to do is follow the ball.
Yep.
I said,
what we'll do is we'll reevaluate Jamin Davis in a few weeks once the season starts. We'll bring his name back up.
Yeah, and everything.
We'll go back to Jay's question once we get more about him, but it's still too early for that.
So, Logan had a 3-part question too. Not a 3-part question, but 3 things that he's interested in. So, Carson Wentz live up to the hype in Indy? Was he just in a bad situation last season in Philly, or is he on the downhill part of his career? Which it would be sad if he's on the downhill part of his career, because has he even done 5 years yet?
I think he's going. He was the same draft as Golf.
Yeah, so
they're in their 6th year.
Are they in their 6th year?
Yeah, so they both already had their contracts done. Their 2nd year in.
Can the Chiefs bounce back after the Super Bowl embarrassment? Did the Bucs expose how to shut their offense down? And can Josh Allen and the Bills take it one step further this season? The last 2 seasons, they've gone farther each year. Super Bowl bound?
These were 3 really good questions, by the way.
Carson Wentz.
Yep.
Horrible situation in Philly. Yep. Horrible. I will say this. I don't know if he's a good quarterback, a great quarterback, or an average quarterback. I don't know. I can't tell you. But I can tell you, if you're a quarterback that has question marks, this is the situation you want to go to.
And his offensive coordinator was a coach of his
head coach was his offensive coordinator when he was on his MVP season.
That's it. Yep.
And your offensive line is the best in football.
Yeah, by far.
Hands down.
Yep.
You have a top 10 running back plus 2 other running backs that are any other team in the league would love. Any team in the league would love to have Nyheim Hines as their 3rd down back. And Marlon Mack would start for a lot of teams in this league.
Absolutely.
And your wide receivers are young and good, and your tight ends are solid.
I still think wide receiver probably their biggest liability of all their positions.
Yeah,
but all the other positions are so good, though.
Paris Campbell's young, and he's good. Yeah. T.Y. Hilton, I think, still has a little something left.
I hope so, man. He used to be one of my favorite players a few years ago.
But to answer this question, if he doesn't do well this year, he's Mitchell Trubisky next year, and he's a backup.
Yeah.
And he's going to struggle to start ever again. This is the year where he has to prove he's a starting quarterback in the league again.
Yeah.
Because that Super Bowl season, he was ridiculous.
They also had a really good team.
That offensive line was ridiculous. The running back was very good, and the wide receivers and tight ends were. The tight end was Zach Ertz was the best tight end in football then, and their wide receivers were really good.
Yeah,
and so
the defense was solid too.
Yes.
So I will say this about Carson Wentz. Everybody knows I've been a Carson Wentz disliker, and the reason is because he's in the division, and when he was, and the other reason was every time you log into ESPN or go online, they're always arguing Dak versus Wentz. I never thought of it as an argument really, because not in a mean way, we can see who pretty much won the last laugh there. Now I will say this: one of them does have a ring on his finger. Whether he played in the game, one of them has a Super Bowl. But I will say this: Wentz, this is the best situation he could have went to. One of the best offenses, one of the best offensive lines, great running backs, everything Mark just said. He just went first, obviously.
Yeah.
But I will say this: Wentz has to do it here. If he doesn't do it this year, and I'm talking 38 plus 100 yards, 25 to 30 touchdowns, less than 10 interceptions.
Okay, so what if he does, say 300 yards, 3,000 yards, 20 plus touchdowns, 10, 11 interceptions.
So like a Baker Mayfield
But they
year?
go to the AFC Championship game, or they go to the Super Bowl.
He keeps his job, but they still draft a quarterback eventually.
See, I look at it as that's a success, and you have your quarterback.
I think it's a success too, but I think a lot of times if you have numbers like that, that's how many quarterbacks, I would love to look this up, that have had stats, the mediocre line, that have gotten that far into the playoffs. That would prove that his team got him there, not him.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like that's like an Aikman stat year.
But
I get Aikman as at 3 Super Bowls, but I'm just saying.
But my thing is this: is stats are stats.
Well, yeah.
Stafford's thrown for 5,000 yards. Where did it get him?
Nowhere.
Exactly. So
yeah, I think in general he just needs to succeed and not make bonehead plays.
And you just said, like you said just a little while ago about Dak.
Yeah.
You don't want him throwing the ball for 300 yards a game.
Well, I mean, he was throwing for like 500 last year. But yeah.
But you just said that. So you're saying, so which way is it? you don't want your quarterback throwing for that much because you think you're going to win more.
No,
So does that make Dak not elite?
No. It's not about Dak throwing the ball. I don't want Dak throwing the ball that much because I think the team is better off when he doesn't. We have better positional players. I think whereas Wentz has the better arm in general. I think him throwing 4,000 yards is fine for him.
But if Dak throws for 3,000 to 3,500 yards, 20-something TDs, and 10 interceptions.
I would take it just like I would with Wentz.
And you go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay, the narrative there is Dak's elite, and he got his team to the Super Bowl.
You think they say that?
Yes, because it doesn't. The stats don't matter.
All right.
Because again, it's the quarterback that gets you there.
You would think.
And it is. The quarterback gets you there. If you don't have good quarterback play, and you just need good quarterback play, like Trent Dilfer.
Yeah.
God, who was the quarterback for the Giants the year they won it against They didn't win it against the Ravens when Trent Dilfer won, but Joe Flacco. Again,
well, we'll say this,
3,500 yards.
Carson Wentz can have 3,500 yards or 4,000 with 28 plus touchdowns. Even if he has 4,000 plus yards, that's like a 12th quarterback season. A lot of quarterbacks have over 4,000.
For fantasy.
No, I'm saying in the season, 4,000 yards.
But for fantasy, like you're ranking it like...
No. I'm not ranking it fantasy. I was saying if he has a 4,000 yard season or 3,500 yard season, it doesn't matter. That's a success for him. I'm saying for me, I'd love to see him back to that 4,000 yard season like he had in Philly. That would be great, but even a 4,000 yard season would put him 11th or 12th passing yards in the league. There was almost 5,000 yard passing yards leader last year.
Yeah, but my thing is I would rather have a Super Bowl appearance in 3,500 yards than a first round exit in 5,000 yards.
Or 5,000 yards and a Super Bowl win.
Yeah, but Mahomes is like that. But Brady's proven it. Brady's.
Yeah.
I don't even know if Brady's hit 4,000 yards and gone to a Super Bowl.
I think either way. Let me put it this way, because it's like apples and bananas here. Let me. Either way, comparing apples and bananas. Either way, whatever Wentz does, he needs to stay on the field the whole season and be good.
Yes.
He needs to be decent. He needs to be above 100 or so QBR, 105, like a good season. And if he does that, this team will carry him into the sunset because the team is good.
Yes.
It does not matter to me what he does, whether it's fantasy stats, whether it's only 3,000 yards and has a 2-year ago Baker Mayfield year. They still had good wins that year. He doesn't need to be Patrick Mahomes, and he doesn't need to be, I don't know, pick somebody, Daniel Jones. Somewhere in the middle is perfect for him, and he'll be just fine.
All right. What's your take on his theory on the Chiefs?
I don't think the Chiefs are done. I don't think they're done at all.
Do you think they were exposed, or do you think they were just hurt?
I think they had every offensive lineman hurt the week before that game. They had 3 people out on IR 2 weeks before, and 1 got hurt in the first quarter.
Yeah.
I think that defensive line and the defensive linebackers for Tampa was so fast and so nasty. They knew how to get to Patrick Mahomes, and they made him run all day.
Yep.
I will say this, though. I think the Chiefs made a lot more moves this offseason than a lot of other teams. They did the Bengals offensive line type thing. They added a lot of players to the O-line, added some more defensive players. Yep. I don't think the Chiefs went away quietly. Buccaneers, do I think they got any better? Not really, but do I think they got worse? No. They're right where they were. Yep. They stayed plateaued. This Chiefs team got better, and now they're healthy, and they get that guy back from COVID, that lineman they like. I can never remember his name.
Yeah, it's a doctor's name,
yeah,
so
it's very fancy.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. I don't think the Chiefs are done, and I think they will bounce back, and potentially I think they're going to be right there. But they do need to watch out for the next team we're about to talk about.
Okay, I don't think they do.
You don't think so?
No.
I'm not saying the next team will beat them, but I bet they're the team to meet them in the AFC Championship again.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I'll agree there. I think the Chiefs are head and shoulders the best team in the AFC.
Well, by far.
And I think everybody's battling for second.
Yes. You're battling for the chance to play them in Kansas City.
What's the one thing Buffalo can't do?
Run the ball.
Okay, which, when it counts, you can't, and I think Nate said it best. I think Nate said something where you can't beat the Chiefs at the Chiefs game.
Yeah. And
Buffalo can't beat the Chiefs at the Chiefs game.
You're not going to outthrow the Chiefs.
No, and you need to slow the game down, and they can't.
No.
And that their defense is very good.
Whoever plays the Chiefs will need to have a more balanced team than the Chiefs.
Yes.
They're going to have to be really good at passing, really good at running, not great at either, just balanced, and you'll do better.
Yes.
Like Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay wasn't a great running team. They weren't a good passing team. They were just good at everything, and that's how they won.
And so that's where I look at it. I think the Bills are very good.
Yeah.
I think they are the cream of the crop in their division.
Yeah.
I think they'll be number 2, number 3
Yeah.
at worst in the AFC.
Yeah, barring injury, yeah.
And I just see now Josh Allen can take another step forward.
He can take a step back.
He could take a step back, and it
had a
all
great
depends.
year.
So I think they've got the talent around him. They just don't have that running back you can rely on to get you 5-6 yards. In 2 downs.
Now, the Bills could run these running backs that they have, Singletary and Moss, and I think they picked up another free agent. Like, they might have something brewing. They might have an idea. But I can tell you, if you are one-dimensional, you get exposed every time. You have to at least run the ball 10 to 15, like something. But the fact that they don't, and all their rushing yards, their leading rusher was their quarterback, you're pretty much the Ravens.
Yeah.
Look what happened to the Ravens. They got exposed too.
Yeah.
You need to, they have to redo this offense. It kind of reminds me, in a weird way, the Giants, what I just said, a little bit broken. Something about their scheme is broken. Not passing-wise, but something schematically isn't working in Buffalo, and if they don't fix it, the Chiefs are going to run you over because their scheme is literally perfect. It's the Madden playbook. It's perfect, and you can't beat it.
So we will roll right into with this topic. We're talking about the Bills. So the next question was Nate, and he said the AFC East as a whole. He goes, the Bills are good, but just how good? Can they sustain? Is spending all the money going to pay off in New England, and will Tua progress? And if so, will Miami challenge for the division? Did the Jets do enough, or are they still a season or 2 away? Starting last there, the Jets are a season or 2 away.
Absolutely, if not more. Yeah.
Only because of the talent ahead of them.
Yes. I will also say not just because of that, because even in practice, I've heard some pretty bad camp stuff through there. They're not playing very well.
I think that you're building,
Yeah.
and you're building right.
And you have to expect that's going to happen.
And so I think they're a year or 2 away. I think New England is ahead of Miami.
With all the players coming back from COVID, yes.
And all the offseason signings.
Moves that Patriots did.
And I said a hot take yesterday that I will bring up, and I have another hot take here, okay?
Okay.
It's not going to be popular with Nate. It's probably not going to be popular with you. But 3 or 4 games into the season, Mac Jones will be the starter for the Patriots. Okay. And Mac Jones will have the best rookie season out of any of the rookie quarterbacks in this draft.
By taking over by week 3 or 4?
Yep.
Missing 3 to 4 weeks compared to other players?
Mm-hmm. He will lead his team further. He will have better touchdown to interception performance, and maybe not more yards than Lawrence, but he will lead the team to the playoffs and ahead of Miami. This Miami team, you take Howard off this Miami team.
Because they paid the quarterback who's not even better.
He had so many interceptions last year. One, he's not going to repeat that on this team.
In the last 5 years, he has more than any other corner in the league.
Right, and he had more than like 6 or 7 teams last year
together.
So they're not going to get that again. If you get that off
Yeah.
the team, okay, you have a big hole on defense now.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, I love Flores. I love him to death, but you've got to be careful that you didn't implode before you explode.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Did they already hit their high? Was that their high?
Exactly.
And it's done already.
And, you really have to be careful here. And I just don't believe in Tua. I didn't believe him in college. I don't believe in him now. I don't see it.
You could be wrong. We both could be.
I could be. But
I agree with you. I don't believe in him either.
I think even if Cam plays the whole season, this Patriot team is better than they were last year. And this Patriot team was fighting for the playoffs until the very end. Mm-hmm. And I really think this is a 10-win Patriot team at least.
Yeah. I'll say because of the talent on the Patriots being a better team than Jacksonville, could you see the TD interception ratio, the games won being better than Lawrence? Sure. But passing, rushing...
No, he won't have it. Yeah. Lawrence is going to have yards.
Yeah, but that's what's going to give him quarterback of the year award, like Herbert got. When other players were better than Herbert, not quarterback-wise, but other players were better last year, I still think Lawrence starting week 1, the popularity for him, he'll win it. But I won't disagree with your take in saying that I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I think he's going to be really good, and I think he's very underrated. But I still think Lawrence is if Lawrence didn't exist in this class, it'd be very easy for me to say Mac Jones is the best quarterback in the class. But I still think Lawrence is the second coming of not Phillip Rivers. Just forgot his name. Colts dude. That's bad.
That's bad.
Andrew Luck. Not
bad.
No, I said that's bad that I can't remember.
That you can't. Okay. All right.
No. Like, it's one of those players, I think it's a once in every 10-year player. He's going to do well. But Mac Jones could be that absolutely number 2 best quarterback in the draft. We're talking over Fields. We're talking over the kid in the Jets who just signed his contract, by the way, today, Wilson. Better than Trey Lance. Because Trey Lance, we don't even know what his situation is going to be.
What's your take on Tua?
I think Tua's overrated.
Okay.
So far. Could it be, again, going back to the original topic in the beginning with Big Ben, could we be proven wrong? Sure. But I didn't see what I liked last year. The footwork wasn't there with me. He seemed a little bit behind his wide receivers on some throws. Something felt a little off, but I still think defensively they're good. They have good wide receivers now this year. I think this division reminds me a lot of the NFC East.
Okay.
Except for the Bills are obviously that much better, but they have those 3 teams with one I think is irrelevant right now.
Yeah.
I think Philly and the Jets are similar. They have good pieces. They're a few years away still. But I think you have 3 teams where you could technically see the Bills taking a step or 2 back and New England being right there.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd see Miami doing that. But again, for example, Miami and Daniel Jones. Let's compare them for a second. Both are playing bad, a little bit overrated at times, but what if both of them are 4,000, 3,500-yard quarterbacks? What if they don't have a bad TD interception ratio? That Miami team could have a 10, 11, 12 wins this year.
Yeah, and they would be battling for the division just like the Giants.
Exactly.
If Daniel Jones cleans up all his interceptions and cleans up his fumbles, that team
That's why I'm comparing them to the NFC East a little bit, saying that if you think of the 3 teams that are the best, any one of them could make that jump. And none of them for the same reasons as the NFC East, but just it's a thought that if Tua comes out and says, y'all been doubting me, I'm going to throw for 3,800 yards and ball out, and you're like, wow, look at them. They're in first place and the Bills aren't.
Right.
Because they have a running game. The Bills don't.
Yeah.
They have a passing game. The Bills do too. But So I think that's interesting. The AFC East is going to be very interesting. They're one of the most intriguing, along with the NFC East and the AFC West are all very intriguing divisions to me.
Yeah. So the last question here is from Justin. Are the 49ers a dark horse NFC contender? Injury bug riddled them last season, coming back from their 13-3 season the year before in Super Bowl appearance. 49ers are the best team in the NFC other than Tampa Bay if they stay healthy. That is my take right there.
Ooh.
They are better than the Rams. They're better than Seattle. They're better than Arizona. They are better than Green Bay. If they stay healthy, they are the second best team in the NFC and could finish with a better record than Tampa Bay.
I think the part that bothers me about 49ers, and I've been struggling with this all day knowing we were doing this tonight, trying to figure out if, I know Cam Akers isn't there, so we'll just assume they have a running back in place. Which one of those 4 teams in that division is the best team? Because you can make a case for all 4, right? And we'll do that real quick because we have the time. Seattle, at times you think Russell Wilson's overrated and disappears in games. Offensively...
Not at times. He is overrated and he does disappear in games. So I mean, it's not that's a fact. It's not like, superstition or anything. It's a fact.
So we'll say they have a decent enough offense. Defense has been
suspect,
okay? But then you get Arizona Cardinals, who to me feels giantish at times. Scheme just feels off. Last year, just things felt wrong. Kyler Murray made bad mistakes. The defense missed open tackles. Just doesn't feel polished. That's the word I'm looking for, not polished there. The 49ers, I think, are great, but this is the thing. Is Garoppolo the dude?
Yes.
And other than Kelsey, who catches the ball?
Well, since Kelsey's on another team.
Not Kelsey, Kittle. I'm sorry.
Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Mostert, the Sermon, the rookie they just drafted.
I know there's a running back.
Offensive line is dirty.
I know.
And you have Garoppolo, when healthy, led them to 13-3 in the Super Bowl.
Oh, I know.
And people always say Garoppolo wins.
He's a winner.
He's
absolutely
not sexy. Women think he's sexy, but he's not sexy. He's not over the top with stats or anything like that.
You don't have to be.
He's going to win you the game.
Yeah.
And that is what they missed last year, and they were a pretty good team last year.
Yeah.
Now Bosa coming back that makes that defense even better.
I think even though I'm a little bit more bullish on the offense at times, I still think the defense healthy is good enough to win majority of the divisional games. I just want Ayuk to be Ayuk that we think he should have been, that he was last year. Does that make sense? Because he was hurt a little bit last year too.
A little bit.
And Deebo Samuel's been hurt. I want Deebo back to the way Deebo is, and I think this is a different conversation. But this division, top to bottom, is still really good. Seattle could find a way to pull it out. I could see any team in this division finding a way. You could. Yeah, I know you don't think it, but they seem to always find a way to win the division.
I will say this. And I will say there's going to be 2 teams that can win this division and 2 teams battling for the wild card. And that's it.
Okay.
49ers and the Rams will be battling for the division.
I agree.
Okay. Seattle and Arizona will be battling for playoff position, but the lowest one. They'll be battling for the 7th seed.
Let me ask you this. Over, under. Every team in that division wins 10 games.
Under.
What about 9?
Under.
Okay, that's all I wanted to ask, because I think every single one of those teams could have 500 records or better, which 500 doesn't exist anymore because there's 17 games, but I honestly think 9-8 and better for every single one of those teams. 10-7 is a possibility.
Okay.
And I think that's going to be tough because you're going to see teams like the NFC East again getting in with the same exact record, but getting home field advantage over those teams. So if I had to agree, I would agree with Justin that the 49ers are a dark horse. I don't hate Jimmy Garoppolo. I loved his 13-3 season. I want to see him healthy. I want to see him with another full season. I think he can do it. But for me, I think there's just a little bit of a question mark at some positions. What are they going to look like? I have no idea. I would have picked the Rams up until the Cam Akers injury because I think Stafford is a huge upgrade over Goff. Yeah. And their defense is not as good as the 49ers, but I think the secondary of the Rams might be better than the 49ers secondary at times. Yeah. But the front 7 of the 49ers is nasty.
Yes. And it's okay, so with what the question is if they're healthy.
If they're healthy.
Realistically, they should have fired their strength and conditioning coach last year.
Jesus.
And, because every single person on the team got hurt or just pulled back on the train. What are you doing? But I look at it as if they're healthy, they win that division.
Yep.
And that's just my take on that. But you had asked a couple questions. We're not going to get into the Dak and Burrow stuff.
That's fine.
Okay, because we've argued about Dak ad nauseum before, and Burrow, I don't think I feel even if Burrow wasn't on my team, I'd be a lot higher on Burrow than you are. Because I think Burrow is a game changer. I think he's generational. And that's just my feeling.
For me, with Burrow, he wouldn't have to be on the Bengals for me to need to see more. I saw too many bad decisions last year.
I didn't see bad decisions because he didn't throw a lot of interceptions. I just saw a lot of,
running around.
What I saw was what I thought I was going to see, and he got hurt, and the team gelled very well last year, and I think it's only getting better. And I think this team is special this year. But with Dak, we've talked about it. Yeah. I think Dak's going to put up numbers. I want to see what I see out of, say, let's take Garoppolo, for instance. A leader.
Yeah.
Somebody that's going to lead. Yeah. Not put up stats, but lead. And not lead in the media.
Yeah.
Lead in the locker room.
Well, I think it needs to be to lead in the wins because every player on the team would say that's their leader. The Dak is the leader in the team. But I mean leading as in the win column. That's what I'm saying. Is he going to be the leader in the win column? In the locker room, he already is. Yeah. They carry him in and off the field every day. Like, that's their guy. They're treating him like a Tom Brady with none of the rings of Tom Brady. That's a good start. They respect him. I don't need the media to respect him. That's fine. We're Dallas. They never do.
Well, no, but I said in the media, it's the way I don't want to hear him talking the way he talked. It's in the locker room.
Yeah.
And it's what the players say about him when they're asked about him.
Yeah.
And I just don't feel like, it's just like when players are asked about Zeke or Sean Payton.
Yeah.
But, my hot take was that Michael Thomas doesn't play for the Saints ever again.
Yeah.
That was my hot take yesterday. It's because the way you hear Sean Payton talk about Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Like last year they were frustrated with him. Now this year they're saying, you got the surgery way too late. What the hell were you waiting for?
Yeah.
You hurt our team.
You know what's funny about that? Amari Cooper got the same surgery this offseason, got his in January.
Right.
Michael Thomas got his in June.
Right. And you knew you needed surgery.
This exact same injury. Yep.
And so, like, for me, it's just, but I want to, there's so many storylines in this year's NFL. So, not just 17 games.
No, there's a lot more.
But people changing places. Yep. Teams getting better. Teams getting healthy. Like what's going to happen, like, and everything.
So before we go into our hot takes, whatever you want to decide, I have to figure one out.
Hot cake.
Hot clock.
Hot clock. Damn, we both got it wrong.
I would like to introduce to you on the show, if you want to do this, something to go with the hot clock every week. It's quick. We'll make it in advance, not on the fly. It's too much. And we're going to do Tuesday morning headlines. So when we record on Thursday night before the weekend games, what's the first headline going to be Tuesday morning when we wake up after Monday Night Football?
Okay.
So we'll make Dak does this or star quarterback injured. Like that's our I'm going to come out and say Tom Brady throws 3 interceptions. That's my Tuesday headline.
Right.
Like that. I think that'd be a cool little thing to predict what we think will happen over the weekend. Just one headline, newspaper, extra, what it's going to say.
All right.
So I want you to go first because I know you have a hot clock. Yes. You said you had 2. I got to figure one out.
My hot clock is very simple. I don't want to see headlines of Jamar Chase, C.D. Lamb make unbelievable one-handed catch, and they're in T-shirt and freaking shorts. Okay? I don't want to see that because you know what? When I was 20 years old, 22, 23 years old, I could run straight and catch the ball with one hand too.
Were you DK Metcalf?
I might have been. Okay? Because I could have finished 10th place in a race too in a 100-yard dash. All right, but we've all made one-handed catches with nobody guarding us and no pads on and no helmet.
Yeah.
It's not a story. Yeah. It's not. It's a bad pass from a quarterback.
So CD had one of those.
Him, and he's like,
CD had one of those, and the backup was the one throwing it to him. They're like, Dak had a great throw. That wasn't Dak.
So it was like I was about to go off on CD Lamb, and then the first thing I open on Facebook is Jamar Chase makes unbelievable one-handed grab. He's unbelievable. And I'm watching. I'm like, he's in T-shirt and shorts. He might as well have Crocs on. I'm like, damn. I just
respect the Crocs, Mark. Their life.
It drives me absolutely insane, okay? And Odell Beckham made one of the greatest catches ever in the history of football. Mm-hmm. And he hasn't done jack since.
No,
nothing. I don't even know if he's played 16 games since that.
That was, what, 3 years ago?
3-4 years ago. And I'm just saying, like, stop anointing people all these things before they put on pads. Okay, because Juju Smith-Schuster, the TikTok wide receiver, dances on people's emblems, and then he gets his head cracked in and fumbles, and they lose the game. Like, stop it. Stop it. Be famous for what you do on the field, not what you do on TikTok, not the highlights you make in freaking shorts and a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just
nobody wants to buy your mixtape, bro.
Exactly.
Nobody wants your mixtape.
Like, it just absolutely drives me insane because it is, and ESPN will go at nauseum. Oh, did you see that catch? Oh, man, his catch radius is ridiculous. There was nobody on him. How do you know his catch radius is ridiculous?
Yep.
Let them play the damn game. Leave preseason to be preseason.
We talking about practice, though.
Yes. So it's like, it just, oh man, it got me so fired up. I do think, because I'm sweating now, the vein was popping. It angers me.
Yeah, I can see it.
It angers me. So that's there. I got to cool down a little bit, yeah.
You okay, bub?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Okay. So, my hot clock's simple. It's really nothing really, it's kind of a...
You haven't been fired up on any of your hot clocks yet.
Not in a while.
You really need to tighten up on your hot clock.
All right, I'll have to tighten up on them. So this one's more of just an irritant. It's actually with training camp, like his was. The nauseum of pretending that injuries right now are significant. Okay, so this is obviously, I said I was going to try to do less Dallas Cowboy talk, but this is about Dak here, okay? And I'll make it quick because it is nauseum for me. Dak's injury is not significant, and I'm tired of ESPN all day. NFL Network, which is new, love it, great. I listened to ESPN shows on the way home, and every 2 minutes talked about Dak's shoulder. He woke up and he said it hurt. So he went to the trainer and said, I'm not going to practice. I just want to run drills. I'm good. They won't shut up about the shoulder. Does he need a backup quarterback? Do we need to trade for Nick Foles? Is he overrated? Did the ankle affect his shoulder with some weird head, shoulder, knees, and toes bullshit? I'm tired of it. Just let him...
Stop swearing. It's a family show.
You said fuck last week.
You just swore again. Man.
It's our show. We can do what we want. We do what we want. And I will say, just as nauseum, like it's a lat grade 1 strain. So have you ever gone out in the backyard and you like chased a kid and you're like, ooh, my leg hurts for like 2 days? That's all this is, guys. It's literally a pinch.
I bet you if I threw the football to you in the backyard right now,
you would get a shoulder strain.
My arm would hurt for a week.
The dude hasn't thrown a ball for 12 months. Of course his shoulder hurts. No big deal. He has 5 weeks till the season starts. Let's not overreact because Travis Kelce said he has an ingrown toenail. It's okay. I get people love the NFL Network. I do too. We don't need to know every time a player has jock itch. I don't really care. Okay, let's move on. Get ready for the season. I don't care that CeeDee Lamb made a great catch. And I was like, damn, that's a good catch. And I was like, oh, that's Gilbert. He overthrew him by 8 feet. That's not a good play. So I think ours are very similar where it's like, we love training camp. I love that this happens. But again, the storylines from training camp are they're trying to stay relevant and they're trying to talk about Dak's injury or Aaron Rodgers showing up looking like he's 50. Who cares?
Yeah.
Just talk about how the schemes are going.
Come on, man. Aaron Rodgers showed up to camp like a boss.
Dude, he had his Pit Viper glasses on. Like that's the new thing, I guess.
That whole messy look, like, you know, like he just doesn't give a shit. Like that is just, he showed up to camp like, yep. This is what they were.
I saw a meme.
Right
it showed
here.
his picture. It says "not giving a shit." Might win the MVP later. Looking just like that too.
Yes. But so we're gonna talk next week. I don't know what my work schedule is, so we don't know what day we're going to talk, but it will be posted on Friday morning.
Yep.
We'll probably come up with some questions on Facebook.
Yep.
Fantasy is coming fast and furious.
Oh, yeah.
We got a month until our first, or 24 days.
I know.
For our first draft, which I still have to set up the lottery for. My bad. And we have...
Get your shit together.
Everything going on. Logan, Nate, get your friend Dylan to accept the invite to the damn league.
Yeah, what's up with Dylan?
Come
Do we
on.
got to show up to his house?
You know, so that's... Again,
it's been like 5 weeks
that's
waiting
my
for Dylan.
second hot clock right there. That Dylan hasn't signed up for the damn fantasy
Listen,
league
I know Kyle listens. Kyle Carabello, thank you. You joined when Dylan was supposed to.
Yes,
It's been 4 weeks.
Kevin signed up right away. You know, Felton signed up right away. Freshie, that league filled before this other league where we only needed one person.
We just need one person.
So
come on, Dylan.
Yes.
All right. So other than that, man, let's go watch this NBA draft. Let's hope it's enjoyable.
Yep.
Other than that,
have a good week.
Have a good weekend, guys.